Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Latina Leadership Series. My name is Angelica Casares, and I am your host. Today, I have Nikki. Nikki, do you go by I'm sorry, pronounce your last name?
It's Levario-Canchola. So I'm married, so
Levario-Canchola.
I added my last name, my married last name.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Um, so, on today's episode, as some people know, and some our people are on here thinking, Angelica, we know you're obsessed with IG. I am. This is how I found Nikki. Nicole, you do Nikki. Sorry, excuse me.
It's okay.
You do some amazing stuff, and like I said, I've stalked you. I can probably give you a rundown. I can probably give the listeners and the audience a rundown of what you do, but I think it would be better explained by you. So, you have the sash on. Let me know what that's about. Let me in.
Yes, of course. So again, I am Nikki Levario-Canchola, your Mrs. Texas Plus America. I am a part of the Miss Plus America system where I just was crowned in March. I am going to compete for the national title in less than 2 weeks here in Houston, Texas.
Nice.
Yes. And, it's really exciting because it's not only here in Houston, but we're also celebrating the 20th year of Miss Plus America.
It's been going on for 20 years? I didn't
Yes.
know that. I did not know that. Okay.
I hear that quite often where I didn't know that something existed, or I didn't even know this was a thing. So
No.
trust me when I say I love having that expression because I get to tell everybody all the things about it.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely making the awareness about it. So thank you for doing that. So how did you you know what? Let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? I know you're from Texas, but where are you from?
I'm from El Paso, Texas. I was born and raised. I left there when I was 19 years old,
Okay.
and I went to go to school in San Antonio. I went
Hmm.
to SAC and UTSA, and
Hmm.
then I moved to Houston about 4.5 years ago.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
How did you end up in Houston?
Well, I was in San Antonio. I was having a great time. I was there with my
Okay.
best friends, and I love San Antonio.
Hmm.
However, I saw that it was very family oriented, and at that time, I was a single girl, and I was like, I go to Houston very often. Let me
Hmm.
move to Houston on a whim. I still don't know. I don't have any family here now. I know a
Uh-huh.
lot of people, but at that time, I knew not a single soul in Houston.
That's
And
adventurous.
it was very adventurous. I look back and I'm like, how did I do that? What possessed me? But I moved and I met my husband, my soulmate, literally 2 months after moving to Houston. After I said I was going to be a single girl
Mm,
in Houston, and
mhm, mhm.
it completely
Something
changed.
the something happened, said the earth was the universe was like, go to Houston. I think somebody's there waiting for you.
That's exactly what happened because when people, not many people I find are from El Paso here,
Okay.
and not many people know to move to Houston,
Uh-huh.
or at least where I'm from. And so when
Yeah.
I was telling my tias and my primas, like, hey, I'm gonna move to Houston, they're like, what? What's in Houston? What? You don't know anybody there. And my dad to this day still thinks that I knew my husband before moving,
Oh,
because he's like,
that's
there's no way,
hilarious.
like, you knew him, you had to have known him, because you now he's like, I'm putting the things together, and I'm like, no, that was true. I really moved with not knowing anybody.
Well, that I think about it, I think you're closer to like Phoenix, Arizona, aren't you?
El
Than to
Paso, yep.
Houston. Yeah.
Hmm. It's Phoenix is about 6 hours away from El
Yeah.
Paso. Yeah, El
Yeah,
Paso to
that's
Houston's
a whole
12
other
hours.
skip of a state away. Like you're like New Mexico. Like that's that area. Like you're way closer over there. So it is strange that you would end up in Houston, like all the way across the other state. I mean, across the state, closer to
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Yeah, everyone thought I was crazy. And now they have their home here in Houston,
Yeah.
and I've shown them my whole life here, and they love it.
How's
Mhm.
Houston treating you?
I love Houston. I love this city. I love how diverse it is. I've
Mhm.
never been to a restaurant more than twice,
Yeah.
and that's saying something.
Yes. You cannot. No, you do see my expression. Yes. So you cannot throw a rock without hitting a really good restaurant in Houston.
The food
It
here is
Yes, yes, and the diversity of the food. Not only is it diverse in people and the culture, but we bring on the food. Like Houstonians,
Hmm.
we're let's sit down and have a meal. You pick up a
Hmm.
spot, you could put whatever on that menu. There's, I mean, we're so spoiled too, and we have those expectancies when we go to other places. We're like, "What do you mean you're not open at 11 o'clock at night? You don't want to serve your customers? What's going on?" Like we're like, "What do you mean you close at 8? Who does this? I don't care if it's Sunday. We're hungry. We like to eat a lot of hours of the
Hmm.
day."
That's so funny. That I went back home and I was like, okay, well, what can we eat? And I was like, okay, well, Whataburger. But I'm so used to other places here, and then I can go to
Yeah,
any taco truck that I want, anything. Just
yeah.
find on Instagram where they're at.
Well, Houston loves you too.
Yeah,
Houston definitely loves you too. So you got the sash on. How did you end up? How did you end up like in the space of what you're doing? Well, so let me know. So you come to El Paso, you find your husband. You come from El Paso, you find your husband in Houston, and then you stay. How
yeah,
did you end up doing what you're doing now, and how did you end up with the sash?
yes. So it was a very strange process. So I at the time,
Mm,
back last August, I was graduating from UTEP, from the University of El Paso. I
okay.
had finished up my bachelor's degree there. And I was also not working. I was a stay at home mom because of COVID.
Uh-huh.
I had just got married. And
Okay.
so around that time, I was starting, it was, everything was starting to kind of end for me. I
Hmm.
had already graduated, so I didn't have school. I was finding a job, so I wasn't going to be a stay at home mom anymore. I had married, so I don't have to plan a wedding. And everything was just coming to an end. And I'm like, okay, what do I want to do now? This is
Hmm.
my season of being myself and finding myself. And what do I want to do? And I've always said to myself, I want to be a pillar in my community. I want to
Okay.
make sure that people know that I'm here to help them in any way possible,
Hmm.
but also be almost like a captain confidence. I want to
Okay.
make sure people know that I can give any type of confidence to anybody because I've always had that gift about myself.
Okay.
And so, sure enough, my cousin
Hmm.
Doreen is actually, she was Mrs. El Paso,
Hmm.
and from the Miss America system. And I was like, well, she's doing so many great things in pageantry.
Hmm.
Why don't I look for a pageant? I'm sure there has to be a plus size pageant.
Hmm.
And sure enough, I just Googled and I was like, oh my God, Miss Plus America. There's a whole pageant and it's going to start next year and it's here in Houston.
Uh-huh.
What more do I want? Like, this is a sign.
Uh-huh.
And sure enough, I put my application in, and
Mhm.
our state director, Kimberly Smith, she got with me. She was like, okay, hey, this is the criteria. These are the steps. What do you think?
Uh-huh.
And I was so excited because everything that she was telling me just was like music to my ears. I was
Uh-huh.
like, keep telling me, keep telling me. And so, sure enough, my journey to the crown started in December, where I officially had got my Mrs. Houston title.
Okay.
And March 19th was our Texas pageant, where I won Mrs. Texas. And
Okay.
now, yes, and now July 1st and 2nd will be the national competition here in Houston, where I'm going to be
National
competing.
competition there in Houston.
Yes, where
So,
I'll compete for Mrs. Plus America.
so I have a question. What
Yeah.
are the misconceptions that people have about pageantry? What do you think? What do you I because I feel like I've been like so I've been watching you, and I also have taken interest in like just the whole like that sphere, and I feel like
Mhm.
there's misconceptions. Is there one that you can tell us about?
I think people think we are all about beauty,
Okay.
or we're beauty without the brains.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny that you asked me that because I was just watching a TikTok, and I can't remember the creator, but
Hmm.
that it was like pageant girls are usually alpha females. We're
Okay.
usually women who can carry a conversation, who know a lot about different topics in mass media, pop
Uh-huh.
culture, and have an opinion about everything because we have to have that if anyone asks us.
Hmm.
And so the misconception is that we don't know what we're talking about. We don't know politics. We don't. We're just all wrapped up in the beauty about it, and
Uh-huh.
that's so unfortunate because that is only one part of who we are.
Okay.
And it
Which is
irks
not
me.
true.
It
Which is
irks
not
my
true.
sin. Yes, because that's one part about me that,
Uh-huh.
as I say, confidence. I'm this beautiful person, but I also love politics. I love to engage myself in them, and even at a legislative level, any way that I can speak to council or anything really.
Hmm.
And that's something that I pride myself on too, alongside all my other sister queens who are just amazing.
Okay. So then let me ask you this. What do you bring? What do you bring to the pageantry?
I definitely bring this like fierce Latina about myself. As a first generation Latina,
Hmm.
I like to pride myself with that
Hmm.
because that's who I am. I was born and raised in a border city, and bringing all my triumphs and my tribulations along with me is
Uh-huh.
really made me who I am today. And I think having this like newness and excitement about myself for the pageant is what I bring.
Nice. Okay. So you brought up confidence. Has it always been like part of you? Is it something that you look forward to? Like not look forward to. Is it something that you brought on that you always knew that existed within you, or did was that developed?
I wouldn't say that it was something that like I had to grow into. I have, and I say 100%, I was born with confidence, regardless of what people think that plus size women shouldn't be a certain way, um, and or plus size women shouldn't be competing in pageantry. So I've always had a confidence about myself, regardless of my size. I've always been a chubby fat girl, and I'm happy to say that that's who I am. And people would tell me, well, you can't wear stripes. You can't wear polka dots, like, you can't wear shorts. So I even had an English teacher in middle school that was like, you're wearing too much of a tight shirt. Like,
Oh,
that's not for your body type.
oh,
And yes, and I was like, who is she to tell me what I cannot feel comfortable in?
no.
So, and I have to give it so much to my family, my mom, my sister, my cousins, who have always like, there was no standard of beauty with them.
Hmm.
And I have to really give a lot of my confidence to them, who have always shown me that from when I was such a young age. And it just kind of carried on. I didn't let anybody stop me in my thinking.
So staying on the topic of confidence, you know, as I age, because I'm 40. Fuck, I'm 40. Because
Hey girl.
as I age, I notice my confidence shifts. It shifts a lot. For somebody like me or younger than you, what would you say? Like if I just maybe I wasn't as confident as I was when I was like a teenager, and maybe I'm in my late 20s, and I just the world is different. Corporate America has jaded me, and maybe just a lot of things have happened. What would you say to somebody who's like trying to re-encounter themselves with that portion of themselves outside of like physical beauty and outside of like that intellectualness? How can I like how can I attract that or to myself or like metamorphose that from within?
I would have to definitely say be true to yourself and be true to what you genuinely like.
Okay.
Because something that I often saw when I was younger was, I mean, I still trying to sometimes get it, was like imposter syndrome. Like
Uh-huh.
I would
Yeah.
look at people, and I remember seeing people wear like Abercrombie and Fitch polos and Sperry's and cargo pants or something. Let's just say that when I was younger.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, eso es la moda. Like, that's what people are wearing. I'm going to wear that.
Uh-huh.
Or people are, I don't know, doing something. And I'm like, but I don't like that.
Uh-huh.
That's not who I am.
Uh-huh.
They're acting the way that they are acting because that's what they truly like, or may not. But you have to think about what you're doing at that moment and know truly that it's making you happy.
Hmm.
Does it make me happy? Do I get to lay my head at night on my pillow and know that I was being true to myself? And I think
Yeah.
that's the best advice that I could give anybody.
It's to be true to you.
Mhm.
Not because it's cool or trendy, not because then so and so is doing it, so I
Mhm.
have to do it, or I have to, you know, trends only like they look like visual a lot of the times. It's usually a bag. God forgive me. It's a beautiful bag. It's a beautiful bag
Mhm.
for like the Louis Vuitton, the
Mhm.
big one, the big bag. Beautiful bag. Everybody has it. Honestly, I can't tell the difference between whether it's a fake or not. And I'm like, I didn't even care. Like
Mhm.
I considered it for a while, and I was like, that's a big investment for somebody who's not a purse person.
Mhm.
Let's not spend a couple of thousands doing that.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, you're gonna be happy with yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I'm happy with the
Mhm.
black leather bag that cost me $50. I'm good.
Exactly. And it's all about what makes you happy at the end of the day, because you're the only person, I mean, obviously aside from like your significant other and your children maybe, but
Yeah.
you are the only person that makes yourself 100% happy, and the outcomes that you put out into the world is what you put into it.
Hmm.
And yeah, because there's a lot of trends out there.
There is.
There's a
There
lot
is.
of trends, and I
Yeah.
like to think of myself, I've been trying to do more of like a capsule wardrobe, something that makes me happy, but
Yeah.
not so much buy into the trends, and you'll see that you're
Mhm.
a lot happier when
Yeah.
you're not trying to
You
keep up.
some of those trends can be harmful, like
Mhm.
outside of like even purchasing like things, some of the trends of like oh my god, I don't even know, like let's stay on the beauty, like the physical beautiness of things. It's some people, I've been watching some TikToks and some reels of some women who they go get their hair bleached, and then they like lose, and then they have like 3-degree burns like on their head, and it's all for the sake of like,
Mhm.
wanting to go as light as possible from for not knowing, not doing the
Mhm.
investigation like that you're supposed to be doing on your hair type and things like that, and it becomes really dangerous, even like on the physical sense of it, but even on the like the mental side of
Mhm.
things, right? I consume a lot of information, um purposely, and then
Mhm.
I sometimes I find myself consuming very specific very specific topics on here,
Mhm.
on like IG and on TikTok and on YouTube especially, and I start to think like the people who are talking about said subject, and I'm like, I don't even think like that. Like,
Mhm.
why am I adapting and adopting something that doesn't even fit me?
Mhm.
Because for it to be able to fit you, it doesn't have necessarily just be. It can be trivial things. It can be like the things you think. It's not. It's nothing to do with like the physical sense of I don't know,
Mhm.
clothes, like fitting means like your
Mhm.
ideas, like where you come from, what you think, how you think about things.
Mhm.
Okay, I can go on down this tangent, and I
The
won't.
rabbit hole.
Yes, yes, I can feed into that. But so, okay, one of the part of the conversations that I like to have on here, because this is where I feel like people relate, and I started to relate to you, and I was um like I like the kinds of things that she talks about, and I like the way she moves around in her space. I love that because I'm trying to find a way to move around in my space, and I want to also have that confidence. Was there ever a time that you weren't confident about something that happened, and if so, you don't have to give details, how did you handle it?
I would definitely say, and I'll preface this, I love my daughter. I
Mhm.
100% love her. However, when I found out, I was like so scared to be a mother.
Okay.
It was so scary. And that's just something that I talk about honestly all the time.
Hmm.
Because being a mother, you wear so many hats, and you
Hmm.
carry so much weight from everything in life from that point on when
Hmm.
you become a mother. And so I wasn't 100%. That was probably the one first time I was not 100% confident in, am I going to be able to do this? Because it's hard. How do you say, am I going to be a good mom?
Yeah.
Am I going to mess my child up? Like, how am I going to be a good mother? Especially because at that time, COVID had hit really hard,
Hmm.
and something that a lot of people don't talk about, and I think should be more normalized, is postpartum depression.
Hmm.
It was really hard for me at that time because COVID hit the day that my daughter was born. And it was so many things, so many uncertainties, and so much weight was on my shoulders. And the thing that I really just got me through it was other women being transparent. And
Hmm.
people laugh at me, but TikTok actually helped me so much. My
Yeah.
husband did too. My husband was my main support system in my family, but TikTok, because of the transparency of other creators on there,
Hmm.
really helped me because other I saw other women going through what I was going through.
Hmm.
And I saw people speaking up on things that I was like, I'm not the only one. Like, really? And they taught me how to swaddle her correctly. They taught me that the warm setting on the bottle was right, or how, it was so many things that I really just threw myself into how to be the best mother, and
Uh-huh.
listening to other people being transparent. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of what I'm addicted to now. And that's why I say you have to be fully okay with yourself and know that you're happy. And transparency is key. And
Yeah.
trust me, I'm addicted to it now.
And Nikki, I thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're seeking what you need. I really do. I hope you're doing well. But staying on the topic of mental health, how did you identify that there was something wrong?
um, from from TikTok, they were like, well, are you going through this? Or other women were just speaking out on their feelings, and I was like, is that what postpartum depression is? Or is that
Okay.
what baby blues is?
Yeah.
I had never known about that. My mom would tell me, my suegra would help me. They were there to, and my husband, they were always very observant of how I
Okay.
was. And so I remember my husband like just crying into his shoulders because I was so overwhelmed. And he
Okay.
was just like making sure I was okay. I'm fully okay now,
Okay.
but also like seeking therapy, making sure that I was okay at all times.
Uh-huh.
And just talking about it really helped,
Okay.
because people don't know, like, you don't know the signs. And then during COVID, it was very hard to see people, so it made it magnitude even worse. And so,
Yeah.
and back then people don't talk about it. Like, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, you know that I had like postpartum depression at that time? And she was like, "Ay, estás loca. No, you didn't." And or she did, I mean, but she would be like, "Is that what that is? Like, is that's what you felt? Is so that's what it is." She was like, "We
Yeah.
probably all had it, but none of us knew that's what it was, because you think of depression like, like, you think of it as something that
Sometimes,
is like right here, and it's like, no, it looks
yeah.
different for everybody."
Sometimes culturally, and correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes culturally we tend to think like that's a white person's thing. Like, uh,
Mm,
baby blues, what are you talking about?
yes.
Postpartum depression, anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, I get anxious. It's like, no, no, yeah, yeah, I know you get anxious, but you're not. Because mental health is one of my advocacies. I am here for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult. It's difficult to raise. First of all, it's difficult to raise a kid, and then to have raised a kid in like in the pandemic. Ay Dios! Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel for all the parents out there who we're dealing with, and it's as a newborn. Like you didn't go through the pregnancy during the pandemic. Like you were legit, like a whole newborn, and it was a lot of the times. A lot of people want to come around you, and sometimes they help you, right? And you're around people, and they give you advice, and you didn't have that community, and you found it on TikTok.
I did not have that village. They say it
Yeah.
takes a village. I did have the village of my COVID circle, my COVID pod, was what I
Yeah.
would call it.
Uh-huh.
But people, like, when they say like, oh, my tia came over to come watch the baby, or and wash the dishes while,
While I go out. Yeah.
I had, and not even to go out. So I was 24/7 a mom with my husband. And I say it, I'm like, our marriage has gone through a pandemic. It's gone through a baby. Nothing is separating us at this point. But because we were always there, because we couldn't go out. We couldn't go to a restaurant to go eat, the
Hmm.
movies.
Yeah.
You couldn't be with friends to just distract you for a little bit. And that was the hardest part. And I remember one of the, because I was so dedicated to breastfeeding,
Hmm.
and I remember like crying for help, because I was like, I don't know how to do this. And at the same time, they were not allowing the lactation consultants to go inside the house. And I wasn't comfortable having a lactation consultant in the house because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so it's like at
Yeah.
that time, it was just so hard.
Yeah.
It was so hard to even. Uh, I cry about it now, but I'm like, oh my goodness, that made me so strong. That made our marriage strong. That made my relationship strong with my daughter. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
So you're a mother. You're a mother. You had your daughter during the pandemic. As I'm also a mother. I'm also a mother. My son is, and I've forgotten a lot, and I think I was traumatized by a lot of the childhood like development. My son is 19, and uh, I can't scream yay to like tell you to give you like help at all. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know. I don't know. I think I forgot it on purpose or something happened.
Mm-hmm.
But how is it being a mother of a young daughter? Was it all you expected it to be? Is it different?
I love her. Oh my goodness. It's different because I'm defining what a modern day mother is.
Yeah.
And because what I was so scared about was being able to still be me,
Uh-huh.
and what I was scared, like losing myself basically in
Hmm.
motherhood. Because I hadn't really seen, and not saying that like my cousins or anything, but in mass media, like in pop culture, I had never seen where you were able to be a mom and do everything else that you like
Yeah.
or need to do. And
Uh-huh.
so being a mother is the most rewarding, hardest thing ever.
Uh-huh.
But it's the best because she's my little best friend. We do so much together.
Hmm.
I'm so excited for her to see me as this pageant woman so she can maybe one day look up to her mom and say, "Oh my gosh, my mom did that." And she
Yeah.
might want to do it too, who knows, but it's exciting because I get to write the definition of what motherhood means to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. So you're down this path. What's you're a mother, you're a wife, you're doing the
Mhm.
pageantry. What happens? What happens after July for you?
Well, hopefully I win. Hopefully I win. That's
Uh-huh.
the end goal here. But let's say I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing as far as my campaigning for the crown, or
Yeah.
I'm still going to be out in my community helping as many people as I can. My main focus is to create a nonprofit organization for women for mentorship,
Okay.
and mentorship kind of across the board. Something I love to do is confidence and also financial awareness. Something I
Oh,
saw
okay.
big in my community was that a lot of and in BIPOC communities is that a lot of people of color
Hmm.
do not have access to what being financially successful means.
Okay.
It's not something that's taught to us. It's almost like a taboo.
Hmm.
And I am very passionate about giving that to people because general wealth, building generational wealth is key to success. And
Uh-huh.
and people just don't know how to do it quite yet. A lot
Uh-huh.
of people of color don't know how to do it, like us as Latinos,
Hmm.
or they think that we're still stuffing our mattress with cash, and and there's so many more avenues and that I've seen, and
Hmm.
so it's something that I love to do right now.
That's amazing. I really do hope you get that like going because I think yeah, I think the community definitely needs it. So, why financial awareness? Was there something that you figured that you thought, okay, this needs to be taught?
So I used to work for a bank. I won't say which one, but I
Okay.
used to work for a bank
Okay.
for a long time. I was in there for about 8 years, and I would teach financial wellness in high schools, colleges. I would go to businesses and teach them how to be financially successful through a program that bank had. And so
Oh.
what I would see all the time was that, like, Latinos would come into the bank, or not just Latinos, like, like it's everybody would come into the bank, just not know how to save, how to be good with your money, how
Hmm.
to invest. They're just People wouldn't know because it was never taught. And credit was the biggest one that everybody just did not know. They're scared, thinking they didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And it's something that is a disservice because we need to know how to do that in order to build generational wealth, in
Yes.
order to be like, the richest people in the world. And so,
Yeah.
those things just weren't taught. And so now I'm doing that in the community. I did create an Empowerment 101 series that teaches financial wellness. And
That's amazing.
yes, I'm doing
That's
it right now.
amazing.
Yeah, it's my last class is Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
And that one is solely for the organization called United Against Human Trafficking.
Okay.
And so they reached out to me to help create a series for them. And
Uh-huh.
so I'm kind of thinking about, I'm like, maybe that was the kickstart
Yeah, I
of
think so.
something.
Well, I hope you keep going down that path. Finances is difficult for Latinos, and especially for for at least for the people that I know, it's difficult. I think they are very much. I see it like this. It's like we're all running, right? But we're not even running on the laps. We're like
Mhm.
running in a different circle. Like we're not. It's part of it's part of the establishment, and we're not even like going into part of the establishment to be able to like also succeed like by their rules.
Mhm.
Like we're like down on our own rules, and then um we get mad at the opportunities that aren't there, but we're not even aware that they're even there.
Mhm.
So having that awareness and making the community aware of like the possibilities of being your credit can actually help you, right? Not just
Mhm.
saving money, but how to be able to use credit, how trustful you are and paying back these loans actually
Mhm.
can help your family, can help maybe your kids to
Mhm.
be able to do more than my god, the grunt work of that our Latino community does,
Mhm.
under the hot sun, under a
Mhm.
lot of situations that, I mean, amazing people that do this work.
Mhm.
But to see faces in other places would be great also.
Yes, it's
So
all about representation.
yeah, so I think you're gonna do amazing. I love the fact
Thank you.
that you're doing beyond that. But are you ready to get next year? Or is it just like a one term, or do you get like 5 years term?
No, it's a full year, so hopefully I
Uh-huh.
win, so that I don't have to run again. But
Okay.
so that's the idea, because
Uh-huh.
once I win Mrs. Plus America, then I have to crown my successor next year.
Okay.
And I don't think I will after that. I mean, I might, who
Uh-huh.
knows. But
Uh-huh.
I really want. I told myself that I would focus on my family after that, because
Mhm.
maybe baby number two will be on the way. So
Oh,
I'm in
okay.
my what my mom, what does she call it? I'm in my motherhood years right now, and so I want to make sure
Oh,
that that is something that I keep on my forefront, and that's being
yeah.
fully transparent. I'm
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about transparency, so
Yeah.
I just want to focus a little more on my family, probably a little after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They deserve you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, that's amazing. So how can I find you? Where if people wanted to go and see what you were up to and if you won in July, where can we find you?
Yes, I'm on Instagram as Mrs. Texas Plus America for now.
Uh-huh.
And then until hopefully crossing fingers for the next 2 weeks. But I'm also Nikki Lou on Instagram. That is my personal page. That is where I do all my fashion, my plus size fashion and
Okay.
content creation. And it's Nikki Lou with 4 U's,
Mhm.
NIKKILUUUU. And it's the same on TikTok. It's Nikki Lou, but with the one on the end. And
Okay.
TikTok, I've been oh my goodness, I think I'm more active on TikTok than I am on Instagram.
I need to get on TikTok, man. I need to get
It's
on
the
TikTok.
best. I get more on there than I do Instagram at this point, but
I heard the
it's the
community
best.
is different there.
Transparency is what I'm telling you. It's and that's what grows everything. It grows it organically, and I think
Mhm.
that's what strives on there.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm really loving it, because I don't have to pretend to be somebody on Instagram, or I'm sorry, on
Um,
TikTok.
on TikTok, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's a bit. So okay. So before you leave, I do. If you could give, if you could like sign us off with something, what would you say to? Say you're in the crowd, right? And you're there, and it's a bunch of little Nickies and older Nickies. What would you say to them?
I would have to say, believe in yourself. Believe that you can do anything in life if you put yourself to it. And how do other people get to where they're at? With hard work and dedication. And my favorite quote that I love to sign off on is, well, what if I fall? Oh my darling, but what if you fly? You
Yeah,
you never will know unless you try.
that's amazing. One more. So okay, do you consider yourself a leader? If you do, why?
I do. I believe that I am a trusted leader. because trust and believe that I will get you to where you need to get to as long as you put the work into it. And know that I'm doing the same on my end. And as long as you're following the tips and tricks that I have, and also the tips and tricks that I get from other people to help you succeed, will be, it's just a recipe for greatness.
Nice. Nikki, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Really quick, if you can do this for me, if you can wave at your camera and say bye to the people.
Bye.